Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nur Maulana Shah Karim Hussaini Hazrima. Ya Maula Meherban, Ya Mushkil Kusha Meherban Maula. Today, the blessed day of Saturday, we are gathered here, Maula, to start our day with guidance bestowed by you upon us, Maula. Ya Maula, Ya Maula. We are truly blessed to be going deep into your guidance and understanding every word and every sentence and try and understand all the tawilat which are hidden in these pearls of wisdom you are giving to us, Mola. Ya Mola, Ya Mola. We are not capable of understanding everything, Mola. Ya Mola, give us this ability to understand, Mola. Ya Mola Meherban, Ya Mushkil Kusha Meherban, Mola. It is all due to you that we will be able to understand anything or everything, Mola. Ya Mola, please help us, Mola. Have mercy on us, Mola. Ya Mola, Ya Mola. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal Mola wa ni'mal nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal Mola wa ni'mal nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal Mola wa ni'mal nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal Mola wa ni'mal nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal Mola wa ni'mal nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal Mola wa ni'mal nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal Mola wa ni'mal nasir. Ya Mola Meherban, Ya Mushkil Kusha Meherban Mola, blessed are those souls who are gathered, Mola, on this blessed day, early in the morning, Mola. Ya Mola Meherban, Ya Mola Meherban. Ya Mushkil Kusha Meherban Mola, Ya Mola Meherban, please help us, Mola. Ya Mola, Ya Mola, through this Farameen's Mola, help us elevate in our ranks, Mola, to walk on this path of Sirat-al-Mustaqim, Mawla, in a very speedy way, Mawla, and reach you during the lifetime, Mawla. Ya Mawla, bless us with your didar, Mawla. Ya Mawla, Ya Mawla. Ya Mawla, Meherban Mawla, Madad Farma, Madad Farma, Madad Farma. Shukranillah, walhamdulillah, shukranillah, walhamdulillah. Our time is always less in the morning with Farman sessions, and we have a lot to cover. Sometimes you feel like, let us do some zikr, kalam, giri but we have to stay focused on our lesson too. And we will continue with the same Farman. This Farman is very beautiful, and it is all dars mukarrar, meaning it is all repetition of what we already know. So it is mercy of Imam that we are being reminded about very many different things. And the reason we are reminded, because we need to remember. Until we do not remember, recall who we are, what is hidden in our soul, we have to continue to remember. And that's why we, in order to remember him, we read Farman, we read Quran, we read Ginan, and we discuss all these different books to get the pearls of wisdoms, to feed our soul and our intellect. So what is hidden inside us, we can see it ourselves. And not only that we become knowledgeable ourselves, but eventually each one of us should be able to teach this knowledge to our family, our friends. The objective of this session is to help you, give you different ways and means by studying Faramins, by studying different books. So you become very knowledgeable with the primary sources. And you yourself are able to find references and become confident to be able to discuss these points to anyone in the Jama'at you would like to teach. So Alhamdulillah, with mercy of Imam, we will review the same Farman, continue with the same Farman, which is truly amazing. So let us recite this salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadi wa ali Muhammad. તમારો દીન પુલ સિરાજ છે. જો માણસ આ બાજુ કે પેલી બાજુ ખસે તો પડી જાય છે. રસ્તો સીધો લઈને બરાબર ચાલ્યો જશે તે પર પાર ઉતરશે. જો તમે તમારો દીન સંભાળશો તો શૈતાન તમને છેતરી શકશે નહીં. Mawla mercifully reminds us that this deen is like a pul sirat. It is a path, it is a bridge we have to cross. Those who pehli baju khase to padi jaya. If you don't stay on the path, if you were to be walking out of the path, you will fall down the bridge. It is a bridge we are walking on. It is an allegory. Imam is giving us the example of a bridge we are walking on, and we cannot, if we were not to be careful, go out of the bridge, we will fall down. And if we were to just follow the straight path, because the direction is very clear, it's a straight path. If you continue to follow the path with the hidayat we are given, if we are able to, stay connected to our deen, and the word Imam uses is sambharso. It's like you have to be very cautiously follow it, take care of it that you do not fall down. And why would we fall down? Because Shaitan is sitting on Sirat-al-Mustaqim. I hope we know that Shaitan is not anywhere else but on Sirat-al-Mustaqim. So those who are not concerned about elevating or walking on this path or being blessed with the Batini and Nurani Didar, becoming pious, if they are not thinking of these things, they don't need to worry about Shaitan. Shaitan does not worry about them because they are trapped by the material world already. So Shaitan does not waste its energy on them. Shaitan is only after those who are walking on the path because he sits on Sirat-al-Mustaqim and he deceives the Mubins. So the real worry from Shaitan, if anyone has, it is actually Mubin. So Shaitan sits on the Sirat-al-Mustaqim to deceive this Mubin who is not only desiring to walk but run on the Sirat-al-Mustaqim, on this bridge. And Shaitan deceives to make them fall down. And then Imam continues to teach, Hazrat Imam Hussain na bayan tame padho છો તે કાંઈ કુલ્લે ખરું નથી. તેમાં મુલ્લાઓની કેટલીક બનાવટ પણ છે. જે ખરો બયાન છે તે અમારા ઘરમાં છે. Now this is very crucial, very, very crucial point Imam is teaching, that when you are reading, Imam is teaching that Jama'at of Zanzibar, that if you are reading about Imam Hussain and his bayanat, when you read that, do know that it is not all correct. Do know that it is not all correct which you read in the books about Imam Hussein's bayan. Why? Because there has been mixture in these books by, Imam here quotes Mullah, but we do know that enemy of Ismaili Jamaat have taken Ismaili books, translated by putting what not in our books, and published it as the authentic source of book written by Ismaili Dais and Gujrati. And they have mixed whatever they wanted to do. So Ismailis are one group, one community. About them, the negative propaganda has been a lot. And it is very difficult to find books which have been protected from past to be able to say that these are correct teachings of the Ismaili Jamaat. And that is why, due to animosity for Ismailis, lots of people have been introduced to Ismailis in a very wrong way. And those who have faced these situations, they would know. People think of very many different things about Ismailis. Why? Because the published books, through authentic sources, people would say, but everything you read in those books, which are in Arabic, Persian, uh, uh, some books in Gujarati, even Urdu, I have seen those books. So many different things are being written, even in English actually, that they are wrong. So it is very important for us to be able to, distinguish different books, which books to read. And Imam mercifully says here, guides us that you have to uh, read about our house, know about our house. And then he explains further, he says, તમે પોતાના દીનને સંભાળો, તમે પોતાના દાગીનાને સંભાળી રાખો છો અને ઈમાન રસ્તામાં છોડી આપો છો, તેથી તમારું ઈમાન બીજો માણસ લૂંટી લેશે. સ્ત્રી પુરુષ વચ્ચે અનુભવ થાય તેમાં પણ વચમાં શૈતાન આવે છે, તે એકને આ બાજુ અને બીજાને પેલી બાજુ લઈ જાય છે. So I believe that about this point, I think I read it, but I'm not sure, that we have to be very careful when we talk about primary sources. We have to understand that we need to be able to distinguish, correct primary sources, authentic primary sources, because one is said to be authentic and one is truly authentic. And we should have that much knowledge to be able to distinguish that. And we are very blessed that we today have IIS and we have Global Lecture Forum. The history of our dais have been, given to us by Dr. Fakir Muhammad Hunzai Sahib through extensive research. So we do have those global lectures on this series of history. So we have that authentic source given to us from primary sources. And then, IIS is translating books, and we are reading books of Allama Sahib, who was not long ago. And his books are, we do know about Imam and primary sources, and it's not being, Alhamdulillah, we are in that time that there is no more this animosity going on, that anybody can take our books and to translate it by mixing things. It is truly mercy that Allama Sahib's books were translated in his lifetime. So we have available those sources, and more books from Arabic, Persian are being translated by, our scholars in IIS, and we do have these books. So it is mercy of Imam that we, in today's time, in today's era, we do have these books. But can you imagine when Jama'at was not educated? See, the biggest factor in Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah's time was that Jama'at was not educated. And that's why Jama'at was deceived by saying that these are the bayan of Imam Hussain, and Imam is saying that it is not completely correct. It is not completely correct. So we cannot trust anybody who's saying anything until we ourselves read the books and have the references to be able to say that, yes, we are able to support it with the references. Remember that there are people who may claim different things, but we live in this time where we have the personality of Arif-e-Kamil. We have Farmans, Ginans, and Quran available to us. Everything which is being said has to be supported with the references given in the books. Otherwise, how do we distinguish? People can say things, but we have to have that eye and ability. And Imam's hidayat is, we have to keep up with Imam's hidayat. Imam's hidayat is that read the primary sources. The reason we all got educated, that we should be able to pick up the book and decide and infer for ourselves what is the truth and what is mixed with the truth. So in today's time, because of the mercy of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah opened schools with Diamond Jubilee Fund, and look at us where we are. So none of us are dependent on somebody to chew the food I give this example that when the children are young, mom would chew food and give food bite into the mouth of the babies. But when you're adult, mom doesn't do that. And Alhamdulillah, we are in adult religious class, adult discussion, right? None of us are not able to pick up the books and study it. And that is why you would see that, we work very hard to pick up primary sources with references so we can understand that we are able to refer to the books and understand this knowledge and become independent. Very, very important. So we are not deceived by giving us the name of the Imam and saying it is the bayan of the Imam. We are not deceived. So be very careful in today's time. One of the biggest trap of shaitan, because it is the knowledge era. So anybody can put anything and say it is knowledge. We should be able to distinguish between the knowledge and the information, not so good knowledge and true knowledge. And Imam then, gives us hidayat that you should be able to follow our deen. The way you take care of your jewelry, your jewels, your valuables, you don't put it out in the street at the door and then leave the door open. You don't do that. You keep it in a lock and a key. Why would you do that for your iman? Now, how do we understand? And it is related to this paragraph actually. That if we give our ears to anyone and everyone and think of it as knowledge, then it is as if we have kept our iman on the road. And of course, shaitan is successful. How do we distinguish what is mixed and what is the truth? We will not be able to distinguish. And Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, the way he talks about in his memoirs, that the challenge is that people, when they speak, they have this ability, oratory, Imam says, charismatic speakers, confident speakers, fluent speakers. When they speak in such a way, it mesmerizes us. And then we are trapped in the way, the oratory of it. And then we are not able to use our intellect to distinguish from right to wrong. Only very smart people, those who are truly seeking Imam to guide them to right path, they will be guided to the path where we are able to find the truth from the primary sources. So it is extremely important. Jama'at has been deceived in the past. Jama'at is being deceived currently as well. So we have to become very knowledgeable, because this is what Imam is teaching us. This is 100 years plus. Imam is teaching us that don't keep your Iman on the road. Anybody speaks to us in a very, charismatic way, we will be influenced. No, we cannot allow that to, happen to ourselves. And Imam says that Tamaro Iman, Biju Maras Lutilese. If we keep it out, like if I keep my jewelry outside, anybody will pick it up. So why would we do that to this jewel, which is our Iman, right? And then Imam gives another example that in men and women, between men and women, you must have experience, and we all live our life, that how in our relations, that shaitan comes in between and makes us fight. Conflict arises, right? The reason is Imam is giving this example of men and women because, simpler example. We don't want to fight. We don't want to have conflict with our family, our friends, our spouses. We want to live a very peaceful, happy life. But do we not experience conflict? Where does it come from when we did not intend for it, when we were not looking for it? Because shaitan came and deceived. Similarly, when we walk on the path of religion, we go to Jamaat Khana, we say dua, we pay the son, we do ibadat, shaitan is there to deceive us. Naive, the way Peer says, Bhore mane srevo. We have to understand, Bhore mane is not stupid. I say it very clearly, please forgive me for saying that, because I think it is high time that we have to, understand this. We cannot be naive about it. We just cannot be naive. We cannot afford to be naive. We are very smart people, live a very smart, lives in our physical lives. Why do we not use our intellect when we follow our tariqah? So Imam, our peer, when saying that Bhore manes revo, meaning that be innocent, but not be naive. We are educated, we are able to pick up the books and, understand and be able to differentiate where truth is mixed and where truth is given. So um, even in our families, when we are not looking for conflicts, there are conflicts. Similarly, when we are following the religion, when we are truly, sincerely, honestly, genuinely doing everything to seek knowledge and elevate on the path of Sirat-al-Mustaqim, Shaitan is there to deceive us. So we cannot be naive. We cannot be naive about it. We have to pick up the books. We have to be able to ask questions, pick up the primary sources to educate ourselves for ourselves and know what is the hakikat. Because the first step is Ilm-ul-Yaqin and then comes the Ainul-Yaqin. We are not talking about Ainul-Yaqin here. Because Ainul-Yaqin, somebody may have this thought that what about Ainul-Yaqin? Those who have experienced. Those who have experienced will not say it themselves, otherwise they are selling themselves, number one. Number two, the experiences, Ainul-Yaqin experiences, are also in books. Which books are those? Books of Allama Sahib, number one, our Ginans and our Quran. These are, whatever we read in these books are actually seen at the maqam of Ainul-Yaqin and Haqqul Yaqin. We, through the Ilm-ul-Yaqin, are desiring to understand what is right in front of us. So we are not going this direction, we are not going that direction. It is not about the person who is teaching. Otherwise, we are looking at that person. We are not looking at the Imam. So it is extremely important that we all remember how to navigate ourselves with primary sources. હવે મૌલાની તારીફ તથા औलाद તખ્ત નશીની ઇમામો. So this person is using his own thinking, but yeah, it's correct. હવે મૌલાની તારીફ તથા औलादની તારીફ પઢો. Imam is recommending us that you should read the praises of Imam and his औलाद, आले नबी औलाद अली. હાજરી ઇમામની તારીફ પઢો. હવે નવ અવતારને છોડી આપો. Extremely important for the Jama'at, who we all came from India, subcontinent, and then we spread out in the world. But still, a bigger part of our Jama'at, Pir Sadruddin's follower, still are very curious about now avatar. And you, time to time, you have these questions, right? And those friends who have been regular now, we don't hear reincarnation and thus avatar. It has decreased a lot. But if you have been here for a long time with COVID, you remember, you'll recall how many times these questions would come. Here is the reference. Here is the Hidayat of Imam. Have you read this Farman? If we would have read this Farman, we would not be asking these questions. Look what Imam is saying. Have nav avatar ne chhodi apo. Command is very clear. 10ma avatar ma amara dada ni tareef padho. 10ma avatar, who was he, where was he? Without going into that discussion, Imam is not saying it is true or not true. Some people simply ask, do you believe in it? Is it true? Imam is saying it is true. But do we need to now find out if it's true and how was it true and what was it? We don't need to, because Imam's hidayat is different. Imam is saying that 10ma avatar ma amara dada ni tareef padho. 10ma avatar, Maula Ali, the lord of this cycle. Prophet Muhammad, who is the Natik, Maula Ali is the Asas Imam. This is the time of Imams. It is the Imamat time. So who is the Dada? Maula Ali. Imam is teaching us, forget about this now avatar, 10 avatar, and read about Maula Ali. 10ma avatar no bayan che te vacho. Now 10ma avatar no bayan che te vacho, he's not telling us to go into that direction of reading about 10ma avatar in Hindu religion. No, he's saying read about his Dada. Read about Maula Ali. Read Nahj-al-Balagha. Read Quran, which is full of praises of Maula Ali. But we have to know the Tawil, and that's why we have to read the books of Tawilat. Otherwise, we don't see Maula Ali clearly, right? One of the friend asked me recently about a chapter in Quran, Al-Ala. What does it mean? And very humbly, Al-Ala. This is one of the names, Ism-e Azam from 99 Ism-e Azam, right? Al-Ala, the Most High. It is about Maula Ali. What do you need to know about Maula Ali? Are we not talking about Maula Ali all the time? We are talking about Maula Ali and his recognition. He is Al-Ala. So if we were to look into the Quran, 99 names of Allah, we will find only Ali. But we have to be going into these directions and removing all what we have learned. And Allah Sahib says it so beautifully that we need destruction for the sake of constructions, destruction of all the ill concepts so we can build new concepts. Now what are the ill concepts here in this context? If you are still stuck somewhere about 9 avatar and 10 avatar, we need to come out of it, because this is the hidayah. You know how many years ago? More than 100 years ago. So how behind we are if we have not read these Farman. We really need to focus and understand it is high time that we need to understand Quran and then go to Ginan. You will understand Ginan better. કિસ્સા બયાનમાં જે મગજ છે તે પઢો, પણ તમે બીજી ખોટી વાતો બીજી ખોટી વાતો લખેલી છે તે નહીં પઢો, કારણ કે બરસો વર્ષની 1200 વર્ષની વાતો હમણાં કહેશો તેમાં ફાયદો નથી. Again, very important point, right? Imam is saying that there are stories. Yes, there are very many stories. But seek the maghz, seek the essence, seek the ta'wil. What is the hikmat in that? Don't be stuck in the stories. And that is why, if you all recall, there was a time in our Jama'at we would have missionaries telling us stories after stories after stories. And Jama'at started to challenge. And what happened? There were no missionaries for a long time. All the missionaries were kind of gone. We had no teachings because they all were doing kissa kahani. And maghz was left. Less maghz and more attention was drawn to stories. And Jamaat was getting into only stories. Now, if you listen to the articles or even was, it is all based on the knowledge, and you would hope that the quality would get better and better, and we would have more Quran and its tawila than worldly authors being quoted, and the book reviews are done of the worldly books. So not going into that direction, but those who listen carefully in Jamaat Khana, they would know that Imam's hidayat is that we need to focus on the maghz, we need to focus on ta'wil, we need to focus on the hikmat and learn the essence. It is high time for us. And then Imam's hidayat is that in the stories there are so many lies. How do we find out if the stories we are listening to, the kissa we are listening, it is truth, if it is not written anywhere, if it has not been authenticated? Even about Maula Ali, even about Imam Hussain, people have mixed lies in it. So it is very difficult for us. How do we distinguish? Imam is telling us that we need to be very, very careful and focus on the maghz. Imam says, if those which are mixed with things, પણ તેમાં બીજી ખોટી વાતો લખેલી છે, do not read that. There are lies in it. Don't read that. If you were to read 1200 years ago what had happened, especially referring to Hindu things, Imam is saying, or even the things which about Imam Hussain, because here Imam was talking about Imam Hussain, Karbala things, and people get very fascinated. Oh, we are Muslim and we are Ismailis. Isna Shiris are celebrating Muharram and they are saying this, and we get sometimes in WhatsApp people share, oh, this is what they were saying, and the way the speaker you hear, very powerful emotional speaker, and people get mesmerized. That's exactly Imam is saying, do not be trapped into getting that. Do not get trapped into that, because it is all oratory, the way people speak. The knowledge should be given in a very simple language with the primary sources, if the intention is to make the learners independent, to stand on their own feet. If you want to deceive them, then of course, it's round and round kind of talk. You never feel that you got it. You never feel you're confident. And, these are different ways of trapping. So we have to be able to be, have that intellect and smartness. I'm sure we have that smartness when it comes to the worldly things. Why do we not apply that intellect, that smartness, when we are seeking this knowledge? So Imam is very clearly saying that do not be trapped into these kind of things. It's not going to benefit you. મોહરમના 10 દિવસ પાળો, હમણાં જે ફરમાન થયા જેમાં તમારા જીવનો છુટકારો થાય તે પઢો. કિસ્સો પડશો અને રડશો તેમાં તમને ક્યારે ફુરસદ મળશે કે દુનિયાનો ધંધો કરીને જ્ઞાન પડશો. So there were probably Jama'ati members at that time, because Imam is saying it very clearly. This is actually very strict farman of Imam. He's like teaching like this, one after one. Imam is very strongly, with a strict words, emphasizing that wake up. That if you are, celebrating Muharram, and if you are doing what they are doing, and you are reading their books and you are being influenced by them, stories are, affecting you and you are crying, it's Girya Uzari. They're doing Girya Uzari. Do we not emphasize on Girya Uzari? Were they not doing Girya Uzari? But Imam is challenging their Girya Uzari. Why? Use intellect and understand these differences. That Imam is saying that if you were to be doing that, you will never have time. When will you take care of your worldly life, and when will you read your Gyanan? What is Imam saying? What they were thinking, what Jamaat was thinking at that time. Oh, we are remembering our Mawla, we are reading and listening to the beautiful praises of Imam Hussain, and we are feeling so bad that Imam Hussain was given such a torture, and then they are doing Girya Uzari. Imam is challenging that Girya Uzari. Imam is challenging listening to those stories. And what he's saying, when will you work physically? When will you take care of your worldly responsibility? And when will you have time to read Gyanan? There is this true knowledge concept. All knowledge is not knowledge. Even the knowledge which comes with the name of Imam, people will say it is about Imam. It is not knowledge. Why? So there is another point which we have to understand. These people, they knew that they were inviting Smiley Jamaat, who were with living Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah. They knew in their heart what they were doing to this Jamaati member. Though they appeared very innocent, they were doing Girya Huzari, they were talking about Imam, Hazir Imam. Remember, they call Hazir Imam. So listening, it all sounds very similar, very familiar. But the intention was to take them away from the living Imam and take them out of the full Sirat. They were on the path, but the intention was to take them out. But we cannot see others' heart. What we can use is our intellect. The language, the words is all about Imam, Imam's knowledge, Imam. But we use intellect when we critically see things. We should be able to distinguish between oratory and traps of shaitan. We should be able to, this is what Imam is teaching in this Farman. Because Jamaat were deceived. Jamaat is being deceived. Are we awake enough, intellectuals enough to understand these things? કરબલાનું જંગ થયો તેમાં સિમર હરામઝાદાએ હઝરત ઇમામ હુસૈનને શહીદ કર્યા. પણ આ વાતું જૂઠી છે કે અહેલે બેતને બેઇજ્જત કરીને તેઓની પછડી ઉતારી અથવા તેઓ પર લાંબો હાથ કર્યો. એ તેની તાકાત નહીં હતી. એવું કરે તો પથ્થર થઈ જાય. હઝરત ઇમામ હુસૈનને શહીદ કર્યા, અહેલે બેતને કેદ કર્યા, પણ તેઓની બેઅદબી નહીં કરી હતી. Can you imagine Imam has to teach like that? Because Jamaat is, influenced by others, thinking that they are our people. Remember Jamaat's thinking. You have to really understand what Imam is saying. How Imam's heart must be hurting, and the pain Imam would feel because we are not able to distinguish. Jamaat here is not able to distinguish. So Imam is now explaining that what they were being told, that in Karbala, Simar, who was the one who, fought with Imam Hussain, and the stories which these people read out, disrespecting the women in the group and disrespecting or torturing the Imam Hussain and all those companions of Imam Hussain. Imam is saying that it is not their ability to disrespect the women in the Jamaat. And if we know from the history, factual history, that Imam Zainul Abidin and all the women were sent away actually earlier on. But there are stories which are made up stories. Are we going to believe Imam's Farman or the stories written by others? Our decision, right? It is our choices. Every individual has to make their choices. Every era, every point in time, name of the Imam is taken and deception is, given to Jama'at. Jama'at has to have intellect to be able to differentiate. So Imam is saying that nobody can disrespect. They will become, stoned if they were to do that. We are talking about Imam's family. There is another farman about Imam, from Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, because Imam talked about, these people who disrespect will become, stoned. After the Gadir Khum, as there were 10,000 people and some were dispersed. So those who were there, they were told to give the message to others. So there was one name, Imam actually has taken his name, I'm not sure, but in one of the Farman in Kalam-i, Mubin, Imam says that this person is, returning back to Gadir Khum because he heard about Maula Ali's Imamat and he was not, in favor of that. He was against Maula Ali. They were very Hasidin. There were very many Hasidin of Imam. Jealousy was at its peak, animosity was at its peak. So he was one of the Hasidin. So he's returning back. And when he hears this news that Maula Ali has been given Imamat, so he says, oh God, if you had to give Maula Ali the Imamat, let the, stone come on my head and I'll be dead. And guess what? Truly, there is a, rock falls from the sky and he dies there and there. And this is being quoted by Imam in his, like Imam has given us this farman. So this is the power we are talking about. There is not an ability of anybody to, disrespect Imam's family. If they were able to, martyr Maula Ali, Imam Hussain, it is for us. It is for us to be awake that there are people within the Jama'at. Shimar was not from outside Muslim. Remember, he was rushing to say namaz. He wanted to kill Imam Hussain, and Imam Hussain says, why are you rushing? You want to kill me? I'm here. Why are you rushing? He says, I want to kill you so I can go say my namaz. Can you imagine this, what he says? The light was right in front of him and he wanted to say namaz. There was no recognition of the light. So it is only through Ilm-ul-Yaqin, through knowledge, we will recognize the light. Light will be right in front of us and we may not know it. So it is very important to seek knowledge from primary sources to be able to know the truth and do not be deceived. इंसान જ્યારે મરી જશે ત્યારે તેને આખરતમાં પૂછવામાં આવશે કે દુનિયામાં તમે કેવા કામ કીધા હતા. Of course, in hereafter we will be asked, how did we use our time? Were we mesmerized by the oratory and charismatic speakers? Or did we pick up the books ourselves and read? Did we took efforts and pain to authenticate what we are listening and believing? Is it the true knowledge or not? Remember, we are reading here that people were saying with the name of the Imam. ભાઈઓને પૂછવામાં આવશે કે તમે તમારા મરદની ફરમાનબરદારી કરી હતી કે નહીં, તમે બદનજર કરી હતી કે નહીં. જો આ બાબતોમાં કસૂર હશે તો તેઓને જહન્નમની આગમાં બાળવામાં આવશે. Now, very interestingly, Imam again turns back to women here. And we should ask this question. Why would Imam do that? Why would Imam do that? You need to know that women are soft-hearted. Women are soft-hearted. And Imam in his Faramin has said that, if you want to have the heart, have a heart like a woman. And remember, we have talked about women being gender and we have talked about women being soul. So we have to talk about it both to understand this. One with soft heart, innocent mind, when speakers with their charismatic, speaking abilities, oratory, when they speak, those mu'minin, regardless of the gender, man or woman, if they are kind and soft-hearted, they will be mesmerized. They will be mesmerized. And they will do bad-nazri. What is bad-nazri? Leaving Imam and looking at this person who is speaking so beautifully, and you're falling in love with that person. Who was the focus? Imam was. But they will be deceived. So remember, as a soul, we have to realize that our mutallaq is Imam, not anybody else. Does it happen? If it were not to be happen, Imam would not speak of that. This is not talking about gender woman. We have to understand this. Imam speaks in allegories, and we have to be able to realize the truth behind it. Bad nazar, I don't think I need to explain, because in this Farman we have been talking about it. So I would like to go further because it's a long Farman. But the point here is that if we choose to be naive about it, we will be asked, what did you do? Did you take your own efforts to distinguish or not? ઘણી બાયું પોતાના ઉપર બુરખા નાખે છે, તે ઠીક નથી, પણ ઘટારત છે કે પોતાના દિલને લગામ ઘણી મોહબ્બતથી હાથમાં રાખે. દિલની લગામ ઘણી મજબૂતીથી હાથમાં રાખે. ભાઈઓ પોતાના દીન ભાઈઓને દુનિયામાં નહીં જોવે તો આખિરતમાં તેમને કેમ ઓળખશે? બુરખાનું ફરમાન કોઈ ઇમામે અથવા પેગમ્બરે કીધું નથી. Another very strong and powerful point for us is Ismaili Jama'at, because Ismaili Jama'at, where they live, they get influenced, then they start wearing shawl or burqa, and that was happening to Jama'at in Zanzibar. They were living with snashris. Women started wearing burqa, and Imam is saying, why would you do that? There is no farman of any prophet or any imam for women to hide their face. Why would we do that? Do we see Ismaili Jamaat doing that? Yes. In today's time, yes. Simply because they are influenced. There is no knowledge, because the Farman is right in front of us. There is no Pagambar, no Imam has ever said that. So, when we don't read primary sources, people do they fast? Yes, they do fast in Ramadan. Are we supposed to fast? It's not Farmani. But people do that. Why? To fit in, because they don't understand. We are in this time where Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah has lifted the Shariat for us. But we are happy to be in the past. Choices, right? It's all about choices, not having the primary sources knowledge. So Imam is saying that in the time of Qiyamah, how would you be recognized? If you were to wear burqa, how would you be recognized? Now, this part has very many tawilat. And inshallah, with time, when we continue to read the books, primary sources, believe me, you will understand. Because if there are friends who are reading books, so there is a concept in Allama Sahib books about Chehra-e-Jahan, that we will be able to recognize the Chehra-e-Jahan, the face of our beloved. The way Pir Nasir Khusro says, Wajhe-Deen, the face of the religion. So it is about recognition. If you wear burqa, if you hide yourself, how would you be recognized? So it is actually a lot more in this paragraph, but it is focusing on the physical practice of hiding yourself in burqa. Right? So shall we stop here? Kareem, what do you suggest? We are not going to finish it.
Gee.
All right. So I hope we have good questions, then we can stop here and discuss.
Yeah, subhanallah, subhanallah. Once again, a wonderful session, Niamat Saiba. And as you mentioned, we've covered a lot of topics that Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah talked about. One of the things that you highlighted, which I found very interesting, was information from primary sources, but also who is actually providing that information to you.
Knowledge.
It's knowledge, yes. And you mentioned about being careful as to who you listen to.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you could emphasize that a bit more and give us some more information on that.
historically, when we look at the history, because it's easier to understand from history. So it's safer to go into the history and understand this. And it is incumbent upon us as individuals to apply it in the present. When Maula Ali became Imam, his Imamat was very clear, very clear. Prophet Muhammad announced it. Man kuntu Maula faza Aliyun Maula. Very clear. But even Prophet has not died yet. He's taken ill. Maula Ali is with Prophet Muhammad. And there are people, Abu Bakr and other, plotting and planning, and people took bayat of Abu Bakr, accepted him as a Khalifa during the lifetime of Prophet Muhammad. His farman was Maula Ali is the Janashi. And then when Prophet Muhammad died, and Maula Ali is busy with the funeral arrangement and all those things, Abu Bakr announces his Khilafat and starts taking bayat from Jama'at, from Ummah, that he is the Janashin of the Prophet. These people who were right in front of the Abu Bakr, they had seen Abu Bakr with Imam. Abu Bakr, who was companion of Prophet in all the battles. His daughter was married to Prophet Muhammad. In every battle, decision making, the close companion, discussion, it appeared Abu Bakr was always with the Prophet Muhammad. The way he spoke, that Prophet was always with him and guiding him. What was the reality? His daughter tells us. Reality is, she quoted, and it has been quoted by Sunni scholars, that my father had collected all the sayings, ahadith, and the ahadith which were about Maula Ali were gathered and they both burnt it. And she has said it to someone who quoted it, and it has transferred in the books. That Aisha says, wife of Prophet Muhammad, says that all the hadiths which were about Maula Ali, Abu Bakr had burnt it. What it appeared, Abu Bakr being the companion, being the friend, being the father-in-law, family of the Prophet, he was preaching Ummah about Prophet, about Quran. Who was the Janashin? Maula Ali. How many were with them? Not even 40. It is difficult to recognize the haqq. It is difficult because majority gets influenced by majority. There are only few who will find the truth. So what was happening? Everybody was following Abu Bakr. And we see the result. We see the result. The whole Ummah was under the umbrella of Prophet Muhammad, listening to Prophet Muhammad, and his companions were with him. Maula Ali, Abu Bakr, Usman, Umar, everybody. Salman Farsi, everybody. But how the deception was created, and the major part, all of them, not even 40 with Imam, went to the wrong direction. They got deceived. It took generations for them to be able to understand that who they were listening is not correct. And they need to get to Maula Ali. These were all their own people. Maula Ali, martyred. Imam Hussain, martyred. Imam Zainul Abidin, martyred. Did Christian came and martyred them? Or the Jews came and martyred them? No. It is within the Ummah, within the Jama'at. So when we say, who do we listen? The answer is primary sources. Read, make yourself ask questions, challenge, and read the books. Do not just believe anything. You have to be reading primary sources of the books and become yourself independent. Maula is of everybody, not to some more and to less to you. No, it's not like that. He is our spiritual mother and father, and he gives to those who are sincere and genuine, and each one of us has the ability to elevate. So I hope we can understand and learn from the lessons of the history. If you want to come back to near, past, read memoirs, chapter 8 of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah. What Imam has not told us. And we have had lectures of memoirs, by Rashida Sahiba, and we have talked about in so many other lectures, we have quoted this chapter 8, because it is a very, very critical chapter for us to read and truly understand it. Because Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah is talking about this time in his memoirs, in his Farman, in his Hidayat. He is teaching us, preparing us, because history repeats itself. So to summarize, primary sources are extremely important. You yourself learn and read, listen with intellect. When you read books, that's why I highly emphasize book studies. Why? Because you're reading the book and then you're listening to the lecture and then you're going back to the book. You have the opportunity to ask the question and learn from the explanation of that book. That's why we just stick to, 1 page, 2 page, 1 paragraph and explain these books. You attend our sessions here in Knowledge and Wisdom Group, or you attend global lectures. It is all from the books with the references. It is extremely important that we should do that. Otherwise, when people have mixed Imam's name and said things, it was all about Imam. But Imam's Farman says it was not all truth. I hope that helps.
Gee. Also, we are all members of, or we are all using on WhatsApp groups and so on, in social media groups. We receive small video clips of Hindu jogis talking about all these various ideologies. Should we
And you
be
just
avoiding
forwarded
those?
it all the time, right?
Yes, yeah. And we should really avoid them?
100%. I mean, so, na farmani. Do we really want to become farman bardar? And we hear this term, absolute farman bardari. How long we are going to do that? How long we are going to choose to call ourselves innocent? It is not being innocent. It is the other word I used. Maafi ke saath. And yeah, you see that all the time, all the time. I mean, it's high time, but again, as adult, you can teach, but you can't control, right? So these are the opportunities that we discuss. We've read Farman's. Imam's Hidayat is very clear. So we choose to become Farman Bardar. Something is very, beautiful to our ears, familiar to our ears, easier to understand. Let's discuss that. Why do Jama'at do that? Because they listen to the words which are familiar, because they have learned in the Ginans and the same words are spoken. Everybody, wants to be in a comfort zone, listening to the familiar thing. It is difficult to pick up the books of Allama Sahib and read, because it makes you open up the Quran, highlight the Quran, because it tells you to do that. Does it require you to come out of the comfort zone? 110%. How many of us will do that? I want ready-made given to me in plate and so I can eat it. If we have that attitude, then the habits will not change. We will love to listen to the yogis and bhagat and attend this workshop of breathing and that workshop of breathing, because friends have shared that they even do that. In order to do ibadat better, I am attending this workshop conducted by this Hindu bhagat. They've come from there and there, this much money I am paying. I've heard these things in today's time now. So again, if we are reading Farmans, we know what our action should be.
We have a question in the chat regarding fasting. The question is, should we not fast?
Yes, Zahra is asking. So yes, Zahra is new to our group and she's learning very fast. And thank you, Zahra, for working hard. Yes, my dear friend, we are not supposed to fast in Ramzan. If you ask Naveen Sahaba, she will share those lectures with you. And it is in the Farman, so that means you have not read Farman either, right? And in Kalam-i Mubin, Imam says, I think it's in this Rouhani Farman as well. And we have discussed in our Farman sessions that we are not supposed to fast. Imam's hidayat is that we fast every day of the year. And that is not the fast of the food, but the fast of our deeds. You can unmute, Zara, if you like. I hope you can listen to me. You can hear me, right?
Yes, yeah, Madat.
Malhali Madad, Zara.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to get introduced to your class. I am very, very grateful to be a part of your. Thank you for the knowledge you're giving. And this was again, I learned in my REC that we fast 365 days. But of course, like you said, you get influenced people around you living in your community. They're fasting, and you live in a society where I was living. Everybody fast, including my neighbors. They would give you iftari food and they would go, and then you would feel conscious that okay, chal roza rakh dete, kya farak padne wala, अपन भी तो Muslim ही हैं. And in that way, of course, I felt very hard to keep rozas because it was difficult working and keeping. But now that I know that it's not something which is not for money at this point, now my conscious will tell me I just have to keep myself inside, consciously aware of fasting my thoughts, my deeds, instead of fasting my body. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Shukran, Maula Zara. Thank you for coming forward and saying what you said. I truly appreciate that. And, it is true that you become conscious that you live in that society and environment, and sometimes it is challenging and difficult. But when we have knowledge, we can say that we are smileys and we are expected to fast every day of the year, 360 days of the year. So lunar calendar, 360 days. So we are expected to fast every day of the year. And we fast. Normally what we say, we are fasting. If somebody asks you, you say, yes, I'm fasting. But you're not lying, remember that. But your fast is of deeds. And you don't have to disrespect to eat in front of them, right? So you're not lying, but you're also becoming farman bardar, and you don't have to keep a physical fast. Now, if you ask me, okay, do I fast? I'll tell you I fast. And I'm a very big fan of intermittent fasting, because in this physical world, you see me sitting all the time, right? And if you don't fast physically, it is challenging. So fasting is a very good for our physical health, right? Fasting is very good for physical health, and we should fast. But who tells you to fast in Ramzan?
Yeah,
and
I understand.
Question is, and I want you to challenge you, Rosara, that why Ramzan? Yes, you're right that we are Muslim. So that means if we have heard, we are listening that in Shariat time, this fast was going on, every Shariat has hakikat, ta'wil in it. So the question would be, what is the ta'wil behind Ramzan? That's what you want to ask. And that's what, when Naveen Sahaba shares lectures with you, inshallah, you will learn that.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Shukran.
Friends, any other questions or comments or reflections?
हाली मदर
Malali Madad Farzana?
हाली मदर कैसे हो आप
मैं बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ. Good to hear your voice. Thank you.
थैंक यू या इट वाज गिनान लाइक जिसमें पीर ने बुलाया ना कि बातनी पाकीज़गी बातनी रोजे के बारे में पूरा गिनान है इसके बारे में और इवन इमाम मुस्तनसिबिल्लाह के भी उसमें है भी पंडित जमात में भी बातनी पाकीज़गी के बारे में डिड यू डिस्कस टुडे आई एम सॉरी आधा हाफ मेरा मिस हो गया
नहीं, मैंने डिस्कस नहीं किया क्योंकि आई एम सो ग्लैड कि यू केम. So what Farzana is sharing with us, see, this is the reader, right? When you read, you can refer to different books. So those who want to know more about spiritual fasting, right? Batni pakizgi, batni roza. There's physical roza, but then there is batni roza. We should read book Pir Pandyate Jama Mardi, and we have this Ginan. Can you tell us the Ginan? कौन सा Ginan है फरजाना?
सॉरी अभी नहीं याद आ रहा है, लेकिन
कोई बात नहीं।
मैं इसके मुझे
तो
गिनान का नाम याद नहीं है। मिशनरी की पूरी आवाज सुनी थी उसके अंदर। आई लेट यू नो, या बहुत अच्छा गिनान है वो। पर पीर पंडियाद जमा मर्दी का मैंने पढ़ा है, बात नहीं पाकिज की। इसका चैप्टर है इमाम के, पंडियाद जमा मर्दी, इमाम मुस्तान से बिला के।
चलिए, आई एम ग्लैड दैट आपको आप आगे आए और आपने शेयर किया। सो इंशाल्लाह वी विल टेल फरजाना, वी आर गोइंग टू मेक हर रिस्पॉन्सिबल। आप नेक्स्ट क्लास में आएंगे और आप चैट में या करीम को देंगे गिनान ढूंढ के, बिकॉज अगर वाज सुनी है तो वाज में से ये याद है और गिनान भूल गए हैं तो गलत हो गया ना। तो वी नीड टू नो गिनान, राइट?
पीर से द गिना मतलब हाँ,
राइट। सो व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, फरजाना आपने हमें हंसाया, शुक्रिया इसका कि आपने एक चीज़ हमें सिखाई कि हम जो है वो बात को चुन लेते हैं और उसका रेफरेंस भूल जाते हैं। रिमेंबर, इट इज़ डिफिकल्ट कि हर रेफरेंस को कैसे याद रखें, बट इट इज़ अ गुड हैबिट। इट्स ओके, हम भूल गए, कोई बात नहीं, वी कैन गो बैक एंड फाइंड द रेफरेंस एंड ब्रिंग इट, राइट? ताकि ना सिर्फ हमें याद रहे और हम दूसरे भी अपने फ्रेंड्स को जो इंटरेस्टेड है नॉलेज में, उनके साथ भी शेयर कर सके, ताकि वो भी जाके वो गिनान को पढ़ सके। हाउ ब्लेस्ड वी आर कि सारे गिनान जो है ऑनलाइन इस्माइली हेरिटेज पर अवेलेबल है ट्रांसलेशन के साथ, सो वी कैन गो बैक एंड स्टडी दैट। सो थैंक यू फॉर कमिंग फॉरवर्ड एंड शेयरिंग दैट।
जी, friends, any other questions or comments before we close the session? Any reflections? It appears not. Thank you, Niamat Saiba, once again for a wonderful session. Thank you, friends, for joining, and inshallah, we'll meet next week to continue with Farman 39. Thank you, and Yali Madad.
Thank you, Yali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad.
याली मदद
याली
नेमत
मदद।
साहिबा, मौला आपकी
याली
मौला
मदद।
आपकी सेवा कबूल करे।
आमीन।
एवरी टाइम बहुत ही नॉलेज मिलता है और मौला बापा सबको ये नॉलेज, सबको हकीकती समझ देवे, सबको
आमीन।
आल औलाद की सलामती रखे, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशंस एंड द पार्टिसिपेंट्स।
आमीन।
याली मदद।
याली मदद, याली मदद।